everybody, this is Lisa. I'm back and we are going to continue on with the lymphatic system. And this time we're going to look at the larger lymphatic vessels, not really capillaries. We did that one in part 3, but these are the larger ones. Okay, so the lymphatic vessels are going to be very similar to some of the regular blood vessels, the circulatory system, such as like the veins and the artery, because we're looking at similar structures. These are developing the same way. They're sort of really not in that different of systems. But anyway, so tunica interna, the internal, right, layer is what that's referring to. Tunica media is the middle layer here. And then tunica externa is the outer layer, right, external layer. Um, so just like we would find in the blood vessels, such as the arteries and the veins, lymphatic vessels go from these like small, tiny little kind of capillary beds to these larger vessels, which then dump into larger vessels, which then dump into larger vessels or cisterns and all this other stuff we'll look at. As we go on our journey, we actually may find these little tiny kind of like bumps along the way. So these are going to be known as the lymph nodes, and we'll get into those a little bit later. Okay, so here's a larger lymphatic vessel. So we looked at the lymphatic capillary before, and we noticed this valve structure that was occurring. Hold on, I gotta get to. I always write in green when I'm doing the lymph. Like I really can't write in green because they are green. In the textbook. Right, so here's these little valves, and they're really just these squamous cells that act like flat valves, and they work just like a lock system, like the Panama Canal, right? So they increase pressure, and then they push open the doors, and then they slap shut when the pressure decreases. And then here's like a nice stain of one also. So all these little like pink dots, those are actually nuclei. So it gives you kind of an idea for scale. Okay. Um, so there are 11 lymphatic trunks, or like large vessels that drain the major portions of the body. So jugular, subclavian, brachiomediastinal, intercostal, intestinal, and the lumbar trunks as well. There are also 2 duct systems. So this is like they're filling into these like larger kind of areas. There's a right lymphatic duct. So that's going to be pulling lymph straight out of the right arm, the right side of the head and thorax. So anything like kind of upper body-ish right side of the body. The thoracic duct is going to be larger and it extends for a longer length. But it actually does this kind of interesting thing where we talked about the cisterns. Yeah, so it actually begins as what we call the cisternae chyli. It receives lymph from below the diaphragm, so the inferior part of the body, and then also like the left side of the body, where like the arm, head, neck, and of course the thorax, they all empty into that left subclavian vein. And then the subclavian veins themselves are going to collect from that thoracic duct. So here's kind of like a better graphic. So conceptually, this is what's happening. So the lymphatic system is intertwined with the capillary beds themselves. And so they are going to soak up or collect that extra leftover 15%, and they push up and they push through until we get to these little, whoa, sorry, let me get that to the right side. Okay. Okay, so they get to these larger collecting vessels, some of which have a little bit of nodes on the way. Remember, the outside of the node is like really thick. It's really hard to get through, right? So these are kind of just these little stopping points, collection centers, if you will. A lot of this is where we interface with the immune system, and this is one of the things as practitioners you're going to check. Swelling irregularity is going to tell you that there's like a collection of basically cells in the body where they bacterial or sometimes cancerous or other types that might be causing these to swell. Okay, we're going to continue to collect through until we reach the lymphatic trunk and collecting ducts themselves, which are going to go ahead and start dumping right into the subclavian veins, right, which is going to obviously go down to vena cava. Right. That's pretty much it, skis. Okay, so here's kind of what it looks like on the schematic, right? So we have these distal regions. Okay, not really a lot of nodes in this area, but then as we kind of travel inwards towards like the center of the body, we'll find, especially near the joints and bendy bits of the body, the lymphatic system has these lymph nodes. So right? So where we see joints, we'll oftentimes see them. And then of course the thoracic part of the body, we'll see quite a few down in the abdominal area, intestinal system. There's a high traffic of bacteria there. We kind of need to monitor. You'll also see quite a few up here, axillary and mammary region as well. So if you'll remember, mammary glands themselves are actually modified types of sweat glands. And so it's going to be a lot of high fluid processing through there. Also, some of us, we all know about swollen glands in the throat, right? So that's where they would be here. Also, cervical lymph nodes up here at the back. Right, I think that's, yes, okay. All right. The lymphatics of the thoracic region, let me go ahead and come back to that. Let me just like stop here. So those are the major vessels, and we will move forward with a regional look at the lymphatic system. But for now, I hope that was super helpful, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Bye-bye.